Every time a shocking event occurs, whether good or bad, there are those who create conspiracy theories. From the man on the moon to tragedies like the Holocaust, there are few things people haven't claimed are a hoax. But why do people even believe in conspiracy theories instead of the accepted truth?
It looks like being certain even of something which is very terrible and very frightening may be psychologically preferable, at least to many people, than being in doubt, being uncertain. Because if you're uncertain, you're suspended. You don't know what stance to take.
That's what the conspiratorial mind does. It looks for a simple explanation, a nice, neat pattern with a little secret, powerful force behind it controlling things. That's what our brains do.
A shocking event makes people look for an explanation. To do this, they analyze anything they can find on the event and focus on minuscule details. This is shown over and over again in events such as JFK's assassination, the moon landing, and even the recent Sandy Hook shooting. Scientific American states that when something momentous happens, everything leading up to it and away from the event seems momentous too. Even the most trivial detail seems to glow with significance. Knowing what we know, the JFK assassination seems pregnant with enigmas and ironies. From the oddly expectant expressions on the faces of the onlookers on the grassy knoll to the play of shadows in the background, every random lump in the visual texture seems suspicious. Even the man on the moon is doubted by fellow Americans who claim that America wanted to win the space race against the USSR, NASA needed funding for its previous failures, and that America needed a distraction from the Vietnam War. To some, this seemed too outrageous and technologically advanced, so they used insignificant details to undermine a great event. Lastly, and most tragically, many people, including learned professors, claim that Sandy Hook shooting was a hoax to get attention for the school.
Let's go to another aspect. Emily Parker. There are factions which say Emily Parker, one of the supposed victims, the daughter of this individual who is an actor, isn't dead. The video that has been circulating claims she isn't dead, but that the parents are so dumb that they brought out the wrong sister because she hadn't changed her clothes, because she was supposed to be kind of put away, because that part of the conspiracy was over, for this picture with President Obama. This is obviously absurd. There's a lot of evidence that it's actually somebody else. These sisters look very, very similar. The idea that we're going to base this theory of fraud on that, again, is completely absurd.
Before you go attacking conspiracy theorists, though, there is actual science behind this conspiratorial cognition. Confirmation bias, hindsight bias, and memory bias are all psychological events that affect people in a shocking situation. Confirmation bias is when people look specifically for evidence that supports their view on a subject. Hindsight bias, also called knew-it-all-along bias, is when someone makes a situation seem more predictable after the event happened than it was to begin with. Lastly, memory bias is simply the fact that the human brain has a difficult time recalling events afterwards, and the more that someone tries to remember something, the more likely that they will warp the memory. All these things lead people to take an event and blow it out of proportion. People believe in conspiracy theories because they create an easy explanation for something that seems difficult to believe. This explanation is either an acute form of denial in which people reject the entire idea out of disbelief that something like that could happen, a disbelief that the government or the ruling body could not prevent such an event, or the search for an enemy to prosecute. Sadly, there are people in the world who deny the existence of the Holocaust. This is because when something as horrific as the Holocaust happens, people are left in awe that something like that would actually occur. Think about it. Would it be easier to accept the bloody genocide or some ploy by the German government to cause trouble? Likewise, there are those who claim that the government would not allow something as terrible as 9/11 or the Holocaust to happen. So they claim that the government is behind it somehow. And finally, for an event like 9/11, it is easier for people to find an enemy in members of the government than foreigners they've never met who hate America. Though conspiracy theorists are viewed as crazy for not believing what everyone else does, one can see how people would rather believe in the theory than the truth.